Today, I want to talk about a repossession of a car. I want to give you two stories that I personally dealt with regards to car repossession. Talk about some of the fees that are owed, and then a voluntary versus involuntary repossessed. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Now, one of the first cars that I got financed, which wasn't financed in my name at all, I talked about my first job that I got in the debt collection industry. I worked as a legal verifier. A girl that I knew like the HR lady. I ended up getting a hookup and getting into the job from this girl that I dated. Nevertheless, when we dated, I remember we went to the car dealership. And, they pulled a copy of our credit reports. Me, at the time, back in 2004, I didn't have any credit established. Her, on her end, I'm not exactly sure what was established, but her credit had to have been pretty good. So at the time, we financed 2 cars. Both of them were in her name. So the way that this car salesman did was basically, she got a Grand Jeep Cherokee, and then I got a Nissan Altima. Somehow he was able to finance her for both cars at the same time. Fast forward a little bit. As we were dating, now I got probably about 6 months to a year in the collection business, and I came up with this brilliant idea. I said, you know what? Hey, I'm going to stop paying the car because I've seen cars be repossessed and they owe a lot more, and then it gets to the debt collection agency and they negotiate a price for the car. And so let's say you owe 10 grand, you negotiated $5,000, the car's not repossessed or sold in auction or whatnot. You can actually get the pinks up to your car for a fraction of what you actually financed the car for. So in my head, with only a little bit of experience, I told her, hey, I'm not going to pay the car payment for the next, for some time now. I'm going to wait for it to go to collections. Once it goes to collections, then I'll negotiate a lower amount to pay, and boom, we'll save on the car. Now, that was the plan. Obviously, as time progressed, me and that girl ended up breaking up. And what happened was, in her Jeep Grand Cherokee, she got in an accident. Someone hit her from behind. The car was totaled. So I'm not sure if she had a deficiency balance or what happened, because we weren't dating at that time. But all I know is she called me up and was like, hey, I got in an accident. My car got totaled. When it came time for her to apply for another car, she couldn't get approved for a car because of the car that I had with late payments. By this time, we haven't made the payments. It's probably been about 5 months of not making payments. And she said, basically, I can't get another car until you basically give up this car, is what she told me to do. Actually, she had the cops come to the job, because she wasn't working there anymore. I was still at the same job. She had the cops actually come to the job, and they asked me for the keys to the car. And me being scared, not knowing my rights, I gave them the keys. Later that same day, a friend of mine that I had in collections we went down to a pot lot, and I ended up getting another car, and I got a car actually financed in my name. But that's my first situation with regards to a repossession, dealing with a car. Okay, and so I figure I would tell you that story because, first of all, for you to understand that I'm not just telling you something that, I think I know. I'm telling you something that actually happened to me with regards to a repossession, and that's the first time. There's a second time, and we'll get to that story later. But let's talk about how car repossession affects you and what goes on. So one of the things is with your credit score, your FICO score. Typically, whether it was involuntary or a voluntary repossession, your credit score is going to be hit at least 100 points or more. So if you're at a 700, you drop down to 600 very easily. Number one, because of the late payments. Typically, before anything's going to happen with regards to the account, you'll have a 30-day late payment. Then it may go 60 days, 90 days, and so on from there. And as that happens, you'll start seeing your FICO score actually drop due to the late payments and so forth, right? I want to get into some of the fees with regards to a repossession that people don't take into consideration, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, right? Typically, the people who actually have to come and pick up the car, whether they're searching for you, trying to find you to get the car, or you voluntarily give it up, they're going to charge you a fee with regards to repossessing that car. Typically, it's going to be anywhere from, it can be as low as $75 all the way up to $375 with regards to just repossessing the car. Now, once that company repossesses the car, then you have what is called a storage fee. Depending on where you're at or what's going on, that storage fee can be anywhere from $10 up to $50 per day with regards to having that car. So once they repossess it, they may have to take it and put it in storage for some time. It sits on their lot. Another thing that people don't take into consideration is your personal property, right? So typically that only happens in an involuntary repossession, because if you're giving up the car, hopefully you're smart enough to get all the stuff out of the car. But in an involuntary situation, when they take your stuff, they typically have to charge you a $75 fee for removal of all your stuff. Then they have to store it legally. They have to store the stuff. And then they can charge you a daily fee with regards to that. And that can be anywhere up to $15 per day until you actually come get your belongings. Once you get your belongings, you pay those fees to get back your stuff. So now let's talk about a voluntary versus involuntary repossession of your car. Typically, I would say you're going to save a little more money with a voluntary repossession. Number one, because of the last thing that I just talked about. Your personal items, your personal belongings, that $75 fee plus a $15 storage fee. Typically, if you're voluntarily giving up the car, then you don't have to worry about that, right? Because when you're voluntarily giving it up, you're going to take all of your items out of the car and you're not going to have to worry about those fees. On an involuntary situation, that's where it can become tricky, right? You know that the company's out there, they're going to possibly come get the car, whether you're hiding it or whatever the circumstance is. You have to understand that a lot of these companies, they'll follow you wherever you're going, right? They'll follow you from home. They'll wait until they see you get in your car and go to work, take it from you while you're at work, at the store, doing anything along those lines. So involuntarily not giving up your car can save you a little bit of money, but you do have to worry about them taking the car when it's an inconvenience to you, right? We've seen a lot of those videos and so forth, people getting their car repoed while getting gas, right? They step out of the car, they go get the gas, and boom, the people been following you, they hook the car up and they take it right there. Then you have the inconvenience of trying to figure out how to get back home or how to get your belongings or what to do with regards to the car itself. And a lot of times once that car is repossessed, if it's hooked up, whether it's taken or whatever the circumstance is, the only way that you can get it back is by paying the full balance that is due. Let's talk about a little story that I had with regards to the second car that I had. I stopped making the payments. I was in California. I moved all the way to Ohio. I remember contacting them. I was probably about 5 months late. Getting them on the phone, the finance company was First Future Credit Union. And they basically told me like, hey, you're 6 months behind. We're willing to work with you. If you can come up with a certain amount of money today, and then by the end of the month, a certain amount of money, you can get back on your monthly payments. Now, mind you, with my car, at this time span, I think I had a 6-year loan on the car, and I've already paid it for about 4.5 years. So I probably owed about 1.5 years worth of payments, somewhere around $3,000 to $6,000 that was owed when originally I had the loan for, after fees and everything was about $33,000. So they never said that they were going to come get the car or whatever the circumstances. They were still trying to negotiate the payments with regards to me and the car. Now, by this time, the car was sort of kind of messed up, not really working. And, as I thought about it, I ended up selling some parts off the car. And then I called the company to come repossess it. I gave it an involuntary repossession. They took the car, they sold it in auction. And then what you have is a deficiency balance. When you're dealing with a repossession on a car, typically what happens is take it, sell it in auction, and then whatever they get for the car, they'll take that balance, apply it to the amount that you still owe plus any fees that they occurred, and then they subtract that from there, and then you have a deficiency balance. That's where that deficiency balance comes. Now understand, You still have the tow fees, you may have storage fees and all of that type of stuff. I've seen where people voluntarily gave up their car, and at the end of stuff, depending on what type of car it was, they didn't get back their value. And they end up owing more than what they originally would have owed when they originally defaulted on their loan, right? Not only that, but another fee that I didn't talk about is the late fee. So each month that you're late, typically a finance company will charge you fees concerning that. Let's go through some household items, right? And I'm going to start calling these household items. If you want the pay to delete letter for free, email me at askadebtcollector@bearrecovery.com. We'll send you that. If you need a free consultation with regards to your credit, email me at askadebtcollector@bearrecovery.com. Same situation. If you're looking at losing weight, my wife, frugally_keto. Check out her Instagram page. Check out her website, frugallyketo.com. All types of goodies and information with regards to keeping that body in shape, maintaining that weight that you want at a frugal cost. That's not going to kill you financially. Again, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. And as always, you be great.